Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Clean Machine Live. I'm Geoff Palmer. I'm CEO and founder of Clean Machine. This video is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right. So we all know exercise is important for our health. We all know exercise is important for our brain health, for our heart health, for our health in general. We got to move to exercise, especially our joints. Our joints do not have blood vessels in them, and the way they get nutrients in and waste products out, joint tissue and cartilage is through movement. So when you move that arm, that joint is opening up and squeezing, opening up and squeezing. That is the way nutrients get into certain tissues. And let me take this off the screen here. This is how nutrients get into the tissues and waste products get out, is through movement. So sedentary lifestyles have been shown to be very bad for our health. Obviously, if we don't move, we're not going to burn glucose. If we don't move, we're not going to get nutrients in and waste products out. More waste products will build up in the body and store. And how does the body store waste products? One, it stores them in our tissues, and that can break down our cartilage tissue and cause very bad states of ill health, inflammation in our joints. We don't want this. So when we move, we can reduce some of that inflammation. We can reduce our risks for many different disease states like cardiovascular disease, like type 2 diabetes, and like even senile dementia. So we're going to talk about some of those. But first, I want to go over this brand new study that just came out. I'll go ahead and put that study up on the screen. As always, I give you the link. You can see the link in green down below. And this study is titled Device Measured Physical Activity, Sedentary Time and Risk of All-Cause Mortality, an individual participant data analysis of 4 prospective cohort studies. Okay, so what were they looking at? Let's go ahead and talk about the methods of this study. So the study involved participant data analysis. So they looked at 4 different prospective cohort studies from 3 different countries, Norway, Sweden, and the USA. And they looked at the data from 2003 to 2016, and it included almost 12,000 participants. So it's a good size study, and it was nice and equal, about 50% women and 50% men. So it was representative of our populations too as well. This was a really nice study, good size study, 4 different cohorts. So it's more closely to a meta-analysis, looking at several studies, not just a single study, no biases, no improper funding in this study. It was just looking at how does a sedentary lifestyle increase the risk of mortality. Okay, so let's look at their initial results. And they found that if you had more than 12 daily sedentary hours, it was associated with a 38% higher mortality risk among those accumulating. But now here's the interesting part of this. It increased mortality risk 38%. But look at the bottom half of that sentence. Only among those accumulating less than 22 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity, MVPA. So 22 minutes totally negated the risk of sedentary lifestyle. Just 22 minutes out of your entire 24-hour day. 22 minutes nullified the risk of a sedentary lifestyle. Even 12 daily sedentary hours. Wow. This is what I'm trying to get across. This research is really showing, folks, it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't take a lot to dramatically have a huge impact on your overall health and your risk of dying, mortality here. A 38% higher risk of mortality, but only if you weren't getting 22 minutes per day on average of exercise, moderate to vigorous physical activity. So it has to be some decent exercise, not just doing chores around the house or something. There's nothing wrong with that, and that should be part of your day. That's part of my day. But I'm talking about real vigorous and intensive exercise. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper into the study. This is what was really interesting to me in the study. So the MVPA, the moderate to vigorous physical activity, was superior to lower sedentary times in lowering mortality risk. So this is interesting. I'm going to take it off the screen for a second because I want to explain this. So they said, okay, let's look at 12 hours of sedentary lifestyle. And look, you may say 12 hours of sedentary lifestyle? Who does that? Well, you sit in a car, that's sedentary. You drive to work. You get to work, you sit at a cubicle and your desk job, that's sedentary. So that's 8 hours there. Maybe an hour of driving to your workplace and back. Then you get home and you sit down to dinner for an hour, and then you watch TV for 2 hours. Okay, there you have it, a 10 to 12 hours sedentary lifestyle. But that's a typical American lifestyle. That's sitting down while you're driving, sitting down at work, sitting down when you're driving home, sitting down for dinner or meals, and then sitting down once again. Even if you go out, the movie, what do? You sit down. You go out to a restaurant, what do? You sit down again. So we're really not getting that activity level that we were when we were in nature as human beings. And even when we're in just a less progressive, we have become, and look, with people working from home, even greater sedentary amounts. But let's go back to this study. The first part of this study is saying that the exercise was superior to lowering your sedentary time. So this is interesting because it's saying, hey, wait a minute, what if you, instead of 12 hours, did only 6 hours of sedentary time? And it didn't matter. that regardless of how many hours of sedentary time that you had, the vigorous physical activity was superior than lowering the amounts of sedentary hours. So it's not really how much sedentary hours you have, it's how much physical exercise you have. So this is the second half of the sentence here. So moderate to vigorous physical activity was associated with up to 55% lower mortality risk across the whole sedentary time spectrum. 2 hours of sedentary time, 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours did not matter. Then what mattered was how much physical activity you were doing per day, and up to 55% lower mortality risks. Oh my God. If somebody told me it could cut my risk of dying in half just by doing 22 minutes of exercise, look, you probably in 2 hours of watching TV, you got 22 at least minutes of advertising going on. 22 minutes is nothing out of your day. That's how little and how powerful movement is. Now, the greater intensity you put into that exercise, the better. So let's talk about how it affects brain health. Okay, so we're going to move into this next study here, which is a pretty amazing one. This is a recent study just last year, 2022, last summer. The combined effect of physical activity and fruit and vegetable intake on decreasing cognitive decline. And this was in Taiwanese adults. Okay, so it was a good population study. A lot of people in the study. I believe there were 11,000 people in this study. And this is what they found. So they found the group with the highest intake of fruit and vegetables was associated with a decrease in cognitive decline by 40%. Folks, cognitive decline means you're out of action. You're not functioning with full faculties with your brain. And just by increasing your fruit and vegetable intake, a 40% reduction in cognitive decline. That's powerful. Fruits and veggies for the win. But look at this. When you add the risk of cognitive decline decreased by 63% with high physical activity and fruit and vegetable intake. Folks, that is exactly why I developed Clean Machine, to get people to exercise more, stay away from the drugs, keep this machine clean, and consume higher plant nutrients. That's why we make a plant protein. That's why we make plant-based products. That's why we make plant-based omega-3s. That's why we do a plant-based sourced vitamin D3, all from plants, because plants have those nutrients in them that can help support 63% reduced cognitive decline. I love my brain. I love the functionality of my brain. I'm 60 years of age. This is when cognitive decline starts. It's nowhere near happening in this person. It's because I exercise every day. It's because I have a high intake of fruits and vegetables. And there's the science. This is direct quotes from studies. Now, this was actually had 4,000 respondents in it, 53 years of age, as you can see in the green below there. But it was a 16-year longitudinal study. So covered a lot of bases here. Good size study, over 4,000 respondents, 53 years average age, 16 years. 63% reduction in cognitive decline. I don't know about you, but I really enjoy thinking with clarity and being able to communicate with others and move right along. I don't want to lose my faculties. And all it takes is just a bit of exercise, 22 minutes of exercise and eating more fruits and vegetables. This is not tough, guys. Talking about your brain, the most important organ in your body. So this is another study. Let's just go ahead and pound on this one, because this one is in 2022 of last year too as well. The role of cardiovascular risk factors and the association between physical activity and brain integrity markers in older adults. And the link below. So this one shows that physical activity was associated with higher gray brain matter. It's higher volume and cerebral glucose metabolism. Now, that last part is kind of important here. When you exercise, you increase your body's ability to utilize glucose. Guess which organ in your body uses more glucose than anything else? Your brain. It's a glucose hog. It uses about 25 to 30% of all the glucose that you intake goes to feed your brain. It's constantly just burning up glucose because you're thinking all the time. Well, this is interesting because higher physical activity actually protected and preserved physical gray brain matter. So as you age, they say your brain shrinks. But you can reduce that shrinkage, that ability to process and cognate, that thinking ability, that processing ability. That's where the gray brain matter is. This is the higher concepts of thinking. White brain matter in your brain is more on communication skills. Well, gray brain matter is thought processes, processing, analyzing, understanding, interpreting, all that kind of stuff, all the higher functionings of the brain. Don't you want more brain as you age? Don't you want to preserve your brain so that you have more of it when you're in your older years? Of course you do. Why wouldn't you want to do that? And all it takes is a little exercise. So I guess the next question is then, okay, well then what type of exercise is the best for overall health? Well, this was a great study called The Effect and Type, the effect of exercise type during intentional weight loss on body composition in older adults with obesity. So these people already have gained some weight and they had a higher body fat. So what did the study find? They looked at 3 different types of training. One was just diet alone. The second was diet with aerobic training, like treadmill or a basketball game or something. And then the third was diet with resistance training. That's either weights or bands or machines, something where you're getting some resistance. It's causing you to exert more strength and power rather than just cardio. Okay, so what did they find? They found that WL, which is diet, weight loss diet, plus resistance training, RT, resulted in less lean mass lost. That means less muscle was lost with resistance training. Now, this makes common sense, right? But you lose some if you just diet and don't exercise, you lose muscle. And when you lose muscle, you lose your body's ability to burn fat and to create healthy functioning, high insulin sensitivity. So the body becomes better at absorbing and utilizing sugars and glucose. So it outperformed aerobic training and diet alone, but by how much? Let's look at diet alone first. Diet alone lost 4.8 kilos, which is awesome. Diet alone, right? But you also lost muscle. 2% of your muscle was lost. And then you got diet with aerobic training, 6.8 kilos. Well, this is better than diet alone. So diet and aerobic training lost more body fat, but you also lost even more muscle. 3.1% of the muscle was lost because you're burning up calories at such a rate. Your body says, well, wait a minute, let's preserve a little of the fat and instead we'll burn up some muscle tissue instead. Not so good. No bueno. Because that muscle actually burns fat. And when you start burning up that muscle, you have a lower ability to burn fat. So you want to maintain that muscle so that it's burning calories more of the time and you can maintain a healthy weight so much easier by maintaining the muscle. So diet and aerobic lost the most fat loss between diet and diet, which is understandable, but you also burned up some muscle in the process. Not so good because that makes it more difficult. If you were to gain, if you have fat and muscle here and you lose fat and then you lose muscle and then you gain the fat back, now you have less muscle to burn calories and more fat. So you may actually be around the same weight, but you've changed your body composition. You've made your body worse at burning fat on a regular day-to-day basis. And that's where people get into this loop where they keep doing aerobic training and dieting and they reduce a lot of fat, but they reduce a lot of muscle. And then they gain the weight back after they do that in the holidays. And then it's even harder to get that weight back off because you don't have as much muscle to help you burn those calories. Instead, let's look at diet and resistance training. Boom, lost even more fat than aerobic training. Remember, aerobic training, 6.8 kilograms of fat lost, 7.8 kilograms. So with resistance training and diet, you lost more body fat than either diet and aerobics or diet alone. And you maintained more muscle tissue, 2 times more muscle retained than aerobic training. That's what you want. Maintain that muscle because it's burning fat. Just 2.5 pounds of muscle will utilize the caloric equivalent of about a pound of fat per month. So just by having 2.5 pounds, that's a few ounces everywhere. And for women out there, that's mostly in your legs and hips and glutes. Those are your big muscle groups. So just 2.5 pounds spread out through will burn you an extra pound of fat every single month, even at rest. So just having that muscle can help you maintain a healthier body weight. And when you do aerobics training and you drop that muscle, remember twice as much muscle is lost during aerobic training, you're making it harder for your body to continually burn off that fat and it makes it easier for you to gain fat and harder for you to get rid of it once you're there. So I hope this helps a lot to show you how important resistance training or vigorous training activity, just 22 minutes a day, can help you get into the best shape, protect against diabetes, protect against senile dementia, protect against, get you the best results in weight loss. That's why I am a big proponent of resistance training. And look, you don't have to, bench 450 pounds like I do at 60 years of age. Not necessary. What you need to do is find weights that work for you, that give you resistance. If it's at a weight that you are struggling to get that weight to move on a regular basis, that's your sweet spot. It's resistance. It's how much intensity you can put into that exercise that will get you the best results, because our body responds. It's adaptive. The more you struggle with something, the more it's going to adapt or try to compensate by adding more muscle, burning more calories, utilizing more energy. And that can help you keep yourself at a healthy body weight, keep the blood flow to your brain and to the muscles, to increase insulin sensitivity and reduce your risks for cardiovascular disease, hypertension, as well as type 2 diabetes. When you combine a plant-based diet and physical exercise, you can achieve results even at 60 and stay healthy and stay off the drugs. I do not take a single prescription drug at 60 years of age, best shape and health of my life. My skin's vibrant. My health is vibrant. I'm just enjoying life at the fullest on a plant-exclusive diet. Now, you don't have to be plant-exclusive. Just the more plants that you can consume in a day, the better your health is going to be overall. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I always cover the latest research. I try to do very recent research so that you're getting up to date on the most accurate and most recent research. I always leave the links for you so that you can read these for yourself and make the right judgments for you. You may read some research that I offer and say, that study doesn't sit well with me, or I feel that study isn't quality enough. That's fine. I share this research for you to do your research on yourself, because I want you to go to an empowered state where you believe this can be effective for you. And when you believe that and you start applying that, you'll see real positive impact in your life, on your health, and you'll be a better influence on those around you who say, hey, wait a minute, 60 years old, 17-inch guns, how do you get like that? And you can tell them, plant-based diet, great nutritional backup and support. Oh, from Clean Machine products. I look for the absolute best that nature has to offer so that you can get the most powerful way to optimize your health through plant-based nutrition. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll be back again next week with more information. And as always, check out our YouTube channel. And you can find lots of great studies on our YouTube channel at Clean Machine Online. Of course, every week we'll be here, but you can watch any videos later on at Clean Machine Online at YouTube. You can watch us too at Clean Machine Fit on Facebook and Instagram. And we're also on LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a healthy rest of your day. And remember, 22 minutes is all it takes. You're not asking a lot. Your body is not asking a lot for you. Just get some good, vigorous movement in a little bit every day and make a big difference in your life. Thanks.